What up, y'all? Welcome to the Gunslinger Gaming Frosty Pints podcast. I'm Gobi. With me tonight is DrNiggle, OmegaConstruct, and Masami. How y'all doing tonight?
Good. What up, y'all?
Happy Monday, or whatever day you happen to be listening to this.
Yeah, it's definitely Monday. It was a pretty sad weekend, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're not basketball fans, but thoughts and prayers.
Yeah. So
Kobe is an icon that transcended basketball. I mean, the guy was a part of gaming.
Yeah,
like he was a big gamer. He's been in game commercials. He truly had transcended any level of just an athlete.
Yeah, I think the saddest part was his daughter went with him and one of her friends too. That was the tough part for me.
Yeah.
And of course, the Grammys was also this weekend, which was, I'm not sure which was more depressing.
Ooh.
Anyway, on to fun news.
So, I haven't watched an award ceremony in how long?
It's the same copy and paste bullshit from last year.
Yeah, so why'd you watch it?
2020. I didn't.
This is what the internet lives for, to summarize it for you.
Yes,
that's true.
Wonderful. And I watched some of the crappy things. But in light news, Billie English or whatever the fuck you call her. Eilish. Yeah.
Billie English.
Swept. So English. That sounds way better.
Wow.
What is she, like the most popular singer on YouTube or in the world or something? I don't even pay attention.
I don't know. The biggest thing they were coming up with was she might have been too young to do what she did. Like, you not be able to handle the weight of what just happened. I mean, she swept the Grammys. She took every major award this year from the Grammys.
I mean, good for her. She's talented. She gets awards. Good for her. Too young, whatever. You peak early, and then now she'll fall into the same slippery slope that Lindsay Lohan fell into, and I'm sure the tabloids will get a great laugh out of it.
Bieber.
Yeah, I was about to say, I look forward to her drug-induced downfall, followed by her triumphant return to sobriety and fame, with eventually ending in a stint in Vegas. I can only assume.
One of the Baldwin daughters, too.
Or a leaked porn tape.
Which is even funnier because she's like the only artist that intentionally wears baggy clothes because she does not want to be a sex symbol.
Good. Again, good for her.
Which I'm okay with because she's like, what? I don't even know how old she is. I want to say between 15 and 17. I know she's a teenager. All right. That's all I know.
I don't
know. I could honestly say if you put her in a lineup, I wouldn't be able to pick her out.
Yeah, I don't listen to her music, don't know anything about her. Just, congratulations on winning all the awards.
She's 18 years old.
Oh,
hey, there you go.
Now?
It's legal.
Woo-hoo!
Fine, yeah.
So you won't go to jail, Gobi. You're just creepy.
Good either way, man. I am good either way. Not my type.
She was born in 2001 when I was at high school.
Jesus fucking Christ.
I was in college. Yeah, anyway, so Diablo 4 beta test. It's not available yet, but you can sign up for it.
Good segue.
I put my name in the lottery, but they're going to be handpicking a lot of, I imagine, the really hardcore people who've got the tons and tons and tons of hours in D4 beyond anything that any of us have put in.
So wait, there's people that have played more than you guys?
Oh, are you kidding me? They're real honest to God. They're real honest to God no lifers to play that game.
See, this is the thing where I'm not too certain about that. People who are still playing D3 right now, Blizzard probably considers them a built-in audience, so yeah, I bet a ton of them will get beta access to D4 whenever a beta is available to actually play. As Gobi said, there's no beta out, you can just sign up for betas right now. People like Omega and the Leetness and I have played a fair amount of D3. I think the Leetness and I have the highest hours, like 2,000 plus, somewhere around there. But then we stopped. So we are the audience that is obviously interested in playing Diablo, but we're bored of Diablo 3. I think Blizzard might focus more on that group to see if it can get some of its old customers back. But that's just me guessing.
Yeah, I'd definitely say you guys, when D4 drops, you guys will play it unless they royally fuck it up somehow.
Yeah, I'll probably wait a week or two at least just to see what the general reception is.
Hopefully they have enough servers this time.
It's been a long...
Blizzard have enough servers? Are you serious?
Yeah. If anybody remembers the launch of D3, how Blizzard had to borrow Twitter's servers for a week.
I think you could go back to like one of the newer games, Destiny 2, when it released, and they had fucking server issues. Then I think the only games that don't are Black Ops 4 and Modern Warfare, but they use peer-to-peer. They don't use dedicated servers, so.
Every expansion for WoW that I was present and actively played WoW for back in the day, they always, every single time, had server trouble. I swear, they just don't learn.
Servers are expensive, yo.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
Alright, good talk.
Yeah, you all fucking disappeared on me there for a minute.
We're playing hide and go seek. You gotta find us.
Oh, fuck that. It's too cold outside to walk outside.
Is this
at
about
least
KOTOR
it's not
3?
negative 50. Oh, yeah. Dude, it must be the year of the remake. I'm okay with that. I'd be okay with another KOTOR 3 coming out.
I'd be glad for any KOTOR. It's Knights of the Old Republic stuff is awesome. It's good stuff.
Only this one will be an MMORPG.
Wasn't KOTOR 2 an MMORPG?
Fuck no.
No, it was a single game.
Single player, storyteller, multiple option. It was like KOTOR was Mass Effect before Mass Effect existed.
But
this looks pretty cool, actually.
Don't they already have a KOTOR-like MMO, or am I horribly remembering?
No, I think you're remembering right. It's Knights of the Old Republic, but it is an MMO, and you are like running around the galaxy with a whole bunch of other people. I don't know how story-based it is. I never actually played that game. I just saw all the trailers for it, and I was like, "Hey, really good CGI, guys! You're almost as good as Blizzard." But I didn't actually play it.
I did play it for a little while, maybe like a month or two. And I mean, there was some story, but you could definitely tell that they were trying to latch onto that World of Warcraft type sort of success. And it kind of worked because you get to be either Sith or you get to be Jedi or got to be neither of those two. And, I mean, it was still pretty cool, but it's been a while. They might have improved things, who knows.
So the deal with this KOTOR 3 announcement is that there is no KOTOR 3 in development. There is no confirmed KOTOR 3 project or a sequel to KOTOR and KOTOR 2. If anybody played Knights of the Old Republic back in the day, it was fantastic. Those games are still actually kind of fantastic. Disney has just said, it was Kotaku that debunked the report that KOTOR 3 was a thing. Disney has just said that they talk about it all the time, and to quote Kathleen Kennedy, they say, yes, we are developing something to look at. Right now I have no idea where things might fall, but we have to be careful that there is a cadence to Star Wars that doesn't start to feel like too much. And her statement suggests that there's nothing in the works right now, but that the beloved story will continue eventually, and it might take the form of KOTOR 3 game or a long-rumored KOTOR live-action movie.
That
So
would be
there's,
super sweet.
And not the
Yeah.
fucking movie. I'm
Yeah,
so done with Star
I'd
Wars
rather the game.
movies.
This whole article about KOTOR 3 basically boils down to
Disney has made some statements.
recent success of other Star Wars games has reignited interest within the company of potentially producing another KOTOR game. And then it's another 3 pages of speculation and bullshit.
I love the titles on here. What consoles will KOTOR 3 be released on? And
well, this one,
the previous KOTOR installments were all released on Xbox, PC, and Mac and Linux. And KOTOR 3 is developed. EA might try to include PlayStation as well. Yeah, this
article says, KOTOR 3 release date, gameplay, and rumors about the Star Wars RPG sequel. Like, it starts with KOTOR 3 release date, and then it says in the article, KOTOR 3 has not been confirmed, and as such does not have a release window.
Hey,
so they lead the title of the article with release date, and the fact is no release date yet.
I mean, Dying Light 2's been in production forever now, and they still don't have a release date, so...
Yeah, but that game has at least been confirmed. Like, this game hasn't even been like, yes, this is happening. This is like, we're considering assembling a committee that will that will weigh the options of whether or not it'd be worth pursuing the idea of making a sequel to KOTOR. We're like 5 levels away from anybody signing off on this game yet.
It had been a while since Danny Pays wrote any articles for Inverse, so he decided to crap this out. Thank you, Danny Pays.
Yes, but hey, at least, KOTOR could be a thing again, which wouldn't be bad.
It would be nice if they did something with it.
Well, honestly, the most interesting thing about it would be the fact that it would be reestablishing some historical canon in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, I believe.
Because all the other games are no longer canon. Like,
I was gonna say, I don't think that KOTOR and KOTOR 2 are canon anymore, are they? Since J.J. Abrams got his hand on the movies?
No, since Disney got his hand on them. Yeah, so if they do bring back KOTOR, it would reestablish some of this history, which would be kind of neat.
Yeah, so yeah.
But see, that's what makes me think they might do a movie first.
God, I
make
hope
a movie,
so
make a movie,
sick
and then make a
tired of
game
Star Wars
about
spin-offs.
the movie.
Disney is shying away from Star Wars movies, though. They've seen the success of The Mandalorian, and so they've retitled a couple, or they've rescheduled some projects as television shows. The Obi-Wan project that was supposed to be a standalone movie, there was rumor that it's going towards a TV show now instead. So I think Disney might be leaning more towards Star Wars episode properties, so that you can get like 10 episodes that are all labeled as 45 minutes apiece, like The Mandalorian, but they're actually between 25 minutes and 30 minutes. You can get 10 of those with your Disney Plus subscription.
No spoilers, but not a fan of The Mandalorian. Like, it just did not grab me.
Like it. I really like it as a show. I think the episodes were too short. The episodes were too short, and I think the show was kind of a ripoff for people that were buying Disney Plus. But on the other hand, Disney Plus gives you access to all those fantastic Marvel movies that everybody loves. Everybody loves them.
I still haven't watched a single one since Avengers, and we won't get into that because it's just not going to happen. And I've already decided to self-punish myself and watch all 8 of the Star Wars movies from 1 through 8. Yeah.
In anticipation of the 9th coming out on DVD
DVD
and Blu-ray.
I haven't seen 9 yet. So as soon as 9 comes out digital, I'm going to buy it and finally watch it for the first time. And yeah, find out if I'm disappointed or not.
Oh, I haven't checked my IMDb rating or my IMDb review for that. How many people thought it was helpful and how many people absolutely hated it. Let me go do that.
while you're doing that, Netflix has unveiled a new trailer for its 3D CG anime series Ghost in the Shell SAC 2045 and will arrive in April of 2020. Now, I haven't seen any of this. I've only played one Ghost in the Shell game, so sounds like Masami is our Ghost in the Shell expert, so she can take it away.
Well, I don't know if I would call myself an expert, but I've at least seen the original movie from the late 80s, early 90s. I don't know. I first
You are
watched
more
it-
qualified than any of the rest of us.
I first watched it on a dubbed VHS. Interestingly enough, even though I like most of my anime subtitled, but I digress. And of course, I've seen the standalone complex and I think a little bit of Second Gig, which are the series that came after the movie. And I've also seen the live action movie with Scarlett Johansson, which I thought was actually not bad. They did in fact try to fit an entire 13 episode plot in an hour and a half or 2 hours, whatever it was. But yeah, I watched the trailer for this and it's really great that they got the cast from Standalone Complex to do this 3D thing. But just some of the art is just disconcerting. I'm hearing familiar voices and I'm really nostalgic, and then I'm seeing things and I'm just
It's pulling you in two different directions.
yeah. Although I will say the little tanks, Tachigawas, I believe is what they're called, or I don't remember. It's been a while, but they're super cute, and I will probably watch it just for them, just because of how damn cute they are.
Well, are they cuter than Baby Yoda?
I don't know. I have not actually watched The Mandalorian yet.
The answer is no.
I don't know. They can, shoot things and make them explode.
Nothing is cuter than Baby Yoda.
I got a friend
can
here.
make you explode with his mind.
I got a friend here in the city who's a bartender, and literally a couple weeks after The Mandalorian started airing, he got a tattoo of Baby Yoda drinking a martini, and yeah, it's right on his forearm. It's pretty hilarious.
Wow.
I'll have to cross post. So Sunny, our wonderful friend Sunny, posted on my Discord. Baby Yoda getting punched repeatedly while Africa by Toto played.
Yeah, that's great. It's a great YouTube clip. Everybody go to YouTube and Google Baby Yoda gets punched repeatedly, Toto's Africa.
I don't even know what the hell.
For the rest of us, I posted it in Niggle's little Discord so you guys can have fun with that.
Niggle doesn't have a Discord. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Sorry, Yeet Mate by Tobisha.
Hooked on phonics worked for me.
Hooked on phonics my ass.
Toshiba.
No, it's Toshiba. Just because I want to fuck with you guys.
Okay.
Just call it Bathsheba and put a shears in that woman's hands.
No, that's true.
Are we talking about Janet Babbitt now? Or Lorraine Bobbitt?
I thought we were talking about Ghost in the Shell. Was Masami, you were talking about Ghost in the Shell. Yeah.
I was pretty much wrapped up on that one, to be perfectly honest.
We weren't going to talk about the live-action movie?
I enjoyed it. Other than they tried to shove a lot of plot into not a lot of time, but then, movies have a storied history of that, much like, 1984's Dune. And the ridiculousness they came up with to patch some of those holes. Oof. Although it is a classic, and nothing beats Patrick Stewart as Gurney Halleck. So
there's a fan edit of that by Spice Driver. So if anybody wants to go and watch the 1985 movie Dune by It was produced by Dino De Laurentiis and directed by... Who was the guy that did Twin Peaks?
I have no idea.
Not sure.
Some famous director. Go check out the Dune Spice Driver fan edit. It's 3 hours long. It's a better movie. Also, Ghost in the Shell, the live-action movie, retold the story of Ghost in the Shell, the standalone complex. And if you would like the complete standalone complex experience, just go watch the anime. You can watch it dubbed. No one is going to give you shit for that, except for weebs, and you don't need to pay attention to anything that a weeb says. So it's a wonderful story. It's a great anime to get yourself through. If you watch that and then you watch the movie, you're going to see that it is basically the abridged version. Also, they completely fucked up the ending, and they didn't really understand the whole point behind the standalone complex. But that's fine, because they got the texture right. The texture of the whole film, the live-action movie that came out with Scarlett Johansson, is great. They captured the Ghost in the Shell universe. It was really very pleasant to watch. They also got the characters right. And even though there was a whole bunch of whitewashing, it was an enjoyable movie experience. But if you want the full Ghost in the Shell experience, definitely go back and watch the animated series. And there are 2 movies out, also animated. And buckle yourself in for this 3D animation CGI thing coming out on Netflix that just does not work. It didn't work for Appleseed. It didn't work for... there was another one that I watched. It was a lovely anime. It had a great story about a guy who went around in like a hot air balloon or some shit, but had the same animation style. That it just doesn't work for anime. So I'll be curious to see what they do. The article makes a good point though. If they capture the intricacies of the storytelling that Ghost in the Shell is famous for, then I'll definitely give it a shot.
Yeah.
I'll give it a shot. If it's got good storytelling, that's the most important part for me.
Watch it with subtitles. It's better.
Don't.
Listen to the
You can if you want. It doesn't matter. You can listen to the dubbed. It doesn't make that big a difference. It's not that huge.
Both are valid for different reasons, and neither is right or wrong.
I know. I just
seen it multiple times both ways.
Dun.
As long as it goes both ways, right?
That's right.
Bi-directional.
Next topic.
Before we get on to STDs.
In other sad news.
Yeah, last week in France, at the age of 95, Christopher John Tolkien quietly passed away. And fuck off, I'm not reading that name. For those of you who don't know, that's J.R.R. Tolkien's son. He was born in England in 1921.
Christopher John Raoul Tolkien.
Sure. That. Yep. Thought that was interesting because we were talking about Lord of the Rings last week, and then this goes and happens.
So, Christopher Tolkien, for anyone that's ever heard of a book called The Silmarillion, he was the editor of The Silmarillion, which was a collection of stories that his father had written that he put together, contrived in his own word, so that people could read basically a history of the world before the events of Lord of the Rings. And they were all his father's writings, but his father never published them before he died. So Christopher took it upon himself to edit and release the Silmarillion.
Yeah, I was just about to ask, did he do anything noteworthy for the Lord of the Rings? Yeah, whatever. But that's pretty cool.
He was also...
I didn't realize that... I didn't realize... I knew that the Silmarillion were unpublished in J.R.R. Tolkien's life. I didn't realize it was his son that put them together.
Yeah, it was his son who did that. His son also was... Tolkien said that Christopher was his chief critic and collaborator, when Tolkien was authoring The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings books. So Christopher was one of his children, and his children heard these stories before anyone else did. And yeah, that was his first draft. Always went through his kids.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I just pulled my copy of the Silmarillion off of the shelf, edited by Christopher Tolkien. I never noticed that. I feel bad now.
I'm pretty sure, I could be wrong here, but I remember Peter Jackson consulting with Christopher Tolkien and the Tolkien Foundation when he was filming Lord of the Rings.
Yes, I believe he absolutely did. Absolutely did. Yeah, it was published 4 years after the death of Tolkien himself.
So yeah, he was definitely a talented writer-editor.
Although there's nothing that can make the first age interesting. I about fell asleep during that. But the second and third age, good.
Yeah, the Silmarillion is widely regarded by most as unreadable because you're basically going through a history textbook. Dry history.
Oh, yeah.
If anyone has ever read Jensen's History of Western Art, the first edition, maybe you read that in college. It was a pretty standard textbook about 10, 15 years ago, 15, 20 years ago. It's dry. It's really fucking dry. It's like that. It's worse than that, actually. But it is it's full of a lot of stories and a lot of lore that all tie into the history of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. So if you were ever curious about why Erwin was so curious about why Aragorn was 87 years old, and she's like, oh, you are one of the Dunedain Rangers, blessed with long life. The whole fucking story behind that one line you can find in the Silmarillion.
Yeah, literally, if you can make it through the first stage, getting to the second age, which explains Aragorn's background, yes, great. So
for those of us that don't want to waste our life and our time, I mean, not that we don't appreciate it, but for those of us that don't want to waste the valuable time, why is he blessed with this long life?
The Dunedain are the remnants of the Númenórean civilization. The kingdom of Númenor was an island between Middle-earth and the Grey Havens, or the Undying Lands. This was one of the first bastions of mankind where they built amazing cities. The Númenóreans were also blessed with long life, meaning that they lived hundreds, perhaps thousands of years. Accomplished great things. They were very smart. They were friendly with wizards, and one wizard who gave them a lot of help was Sauron. Sauron the Fair, Sauron the Just, and he was
before he became a douche.
Yeah, he was a really great guy, except for it turns out that he was doing all this nice stuff to garner power for himself, and he was trying to manipulate mankind the entire time, and he went about that for, a couple thousand years before he finally lost fair form and got banished to the Black Lands of Mordor. So that's why Aragorn is like that, because his parents were humans who lived for thousands of years, and also intermarried with elves.
Cool. That's awesome. Great. Thanks for the history lesson.
Isn't that fantastic?
Now?
Yeah, this is interesting.
Corn is always about halfway through that. I just didn't want to interrupt. On to more boring stuff. Ghost Recon Breakpoint patch notes for title update 1.1 are finally out.
Nobody plays that game and no one cares.
The good news is they're fixing the wonderful bugs that you guys are bitching about. The bad news is I didn't see anything in there about the FPS issues. So hopefully those get ninja patched with the other fixes. Other than that, they're trying to improve AI behavior, because who would have thought that the AI was fucking shitty in this game? Not I. They're starting to make improvements on the base jump mechanic, so it actually works if you're using mouse and keyboard. Don't ask me why, but apparently it's a much bigger deal to base jump with the mouse and keyboard than it is with a controller. And I don't know anything why they didn't just bring the mechanics straight from Wildlands, because it worked perfectly for everybody and had no issues, but we won't go into that. Some obviously gameplay fixes. There's a whole lot of bug fixes in this particular patch. So hopefully it doesn't break too much shit. Yeah. And of course, the patch comes out tomorrow. It is 11.3 gigabytes on PC, 14.7 on Xbox One, and 13.7 on PlayStation 4. But the real fun comes on the 29th when the Terminator event goes live, which, for those of you who played Ghost Recon Wildlands and remember the Predator mission, think same thing except for in Breakpoint. And instead of killing a Predator, you have to kill a T-800, which I think is probably going to be easier than killing a Predator. Because, they can't turn fucking invisible and shoot you while they're fucking invisible. So that's a bonus. I don't think this is going to be easy. It's going to be a pain in the ass, just like the Predator mission was.
Just throw a bunch of EMP grenades at it and then attach C4 to it and then shoot the C4.
In real world, I mean, that would definitely work. In Breakpoint, I have a feeling it's going to be immune to the EMP grenade for some fucking reason. Because you just know it's going to have to be a bullet sponge, and it's going to have to be a pain in your dick. The little trailer for it does look pretty cool. Looks pretty neat. It doesn't really show a Terminator.
In the original Terminator movie, did Arnold ever get shot with a 50 caliber bullet?
I don't know, because I never watched any of the Terminator movies.
I don't remember if he specifically got hit with a 50.
We're gonna have to have a talk with the GS leaders about Gobi's continued position on staff, having never seen a Marvel movie past a certain date or any of the Terminator movies. What else haven't you seen while we're at it, Gobi? What other popular tidbits of pop culture have you never seen? I'm making you a list and buying you digital Christmas presents for next year. I'm planning that far ahead.
The Terminator movies, I just never got into. Like, I started watching them, and it just, I don't know, was never my thing. I love Predator. Predator movies were fucking amazing. Alien movies. I even watched the Species movies, Battlestar Galactica. I even watched some Farscape, not all of it. Firefly, Serenity. Oh, classic. I don't know. I mean, I watched a whole lot of everything, and a lot of the pop culture stuff just not my thing. Like Clue.
Have you ever?
Clue?
Have you ever? Oh God! How dare you? Never watched Clue? Tim Curry, Christopher Lloyd,
I've
Madeline
not seen
Kahn.
Clue, so don't feel too bad.
Madeline fucking Kahn. She is a national treasure.
I did watch The Proposal the other day, just because we were talking about Betty White and how she was a national treasure, and I realized she was in that movie, and for whatever reason, I wanted to watch a sappy Ryan Reynolds movie, so that was the one I chose.
Oh, in the end, did Ryan Reynolds become happy?
I believe so. I mean, he did get to kiss Sandra Bullock, so I mean, it couldn't have been that awful.
Well, I mean, it's arguable whether or not that would make anyone happy. The important thing here, the important thing here is that Ryan Reynolds, who is a rich, successful, handsome white man, ended up being happy at the end of a movie. That's very important to all of us.
Oh wow!
Maybe to you. I mean, I just enjoyed it because Ryan Reynolds is a good actor. I mean, he was even good.
Let's not say things that DrNiggle's going to quote later.
He was even good in Green Lantern. I'll say it. I'm not saying the movie was good, but he was good in it.
Okay.
It's also where he met his wife. So, I mean, it couldn't have been all bad.
Sandra Bullock?
No. He's married to Blake Lively with like 3 kids.
Yeah, she's gorgeous, by the way. Absolutely freaking gorgeous.
I'll agree. I mean, she may have been the reason why I originally watched Green Lantern. But
I mean,
Ryan Reynolds did do a really good job.
I just wanted to Photoshop a picture of Blake Lively with a brake pad over her face. Blake Lively. I know you didn't mean it, Kilby. I know, but still.
I'm pretty sure I said Blake. I'm sorry.
Nope, you didn't.
All right, if you say so.
I was gonna let it
rewind.
slide, but since we're now discussing it,
We'll
Yeah.
rewind it in post. We'll play, because I can totally do that.
in that mythical post-party show.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And now for the moment that everyone has been waiting for, DrNiggle's Star Wars review, which 9 out of 14 found helpful. It's 3 stars.
God.
It's 3 stars. The title is New Posting Guidelines, and my review is as follows. If you enjoyed this film, then instead of reviewing it just right, I love roller coasters.
I mean, are we including Roller Coaster Tycoon in this?
Anything you want. Just if you
Right,
love
like
roller
roller
coasters, if you loved Star Wars, then you love roller coasters. It's a good thing.
I do love me a good roller coaster. Not gonna lie.
There you
I
go.
mean,
You're gonna
giant
enjoy
drop
episode
with a
9.
little fucking little you know.
You're gonna enjoy it. It's got a lot of ups and
Hey,
downs.
I'm
Oh
okay
my
with that.
God.
I mean, as long as that. My problem with the new Star Wars is I can only put up with so much of Kylo Ren. Like,
Oh, don't worry about that. Adam, how dare you? Adam Driver is a fantastic actor. He's one of the best Star Wars villains ever.
And looks half decent from the waist up.
I'm sorry. The most impressive part is that you actually delivered that with a straight face.
I was really trying.
I mean, he might be slightly better than Count Dooku or General Grievous.
Look, General Grievous loved what he did. That dude loved being evil. Kylo Ren is kind of a bitch about being evil. He's like, oh, I want to be evil. I want to be so dark. Oh, but I don't want to be so dark. Oh, but I totally want to be dark, and I want to stalk Daisy Ridley. Oh, but she's not Daisy Ridley. She's Rey. Oh, but I want to stalk Daisy Ridley too.
I'm just
He's-
waiting
he's
for them to
emo.
find out their
He's
fucking
just
brother and
emo.
sister.
Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Yes, of course. I have not seen this, so no spoilers, and don't.
No
You know
spoilers.
You know what? Dying Light turns 5 years old. There we go. We'll just move
What's
on.
What's Dying Light about?
Oh boy. So, Techland started out years
Alright.
ago as this little tiny developer, and they made this game called Dead Island.
Right. Okay. George Lucas started off in a tiny little space with Industrial Light and Magic and created Star Wars. Check. What's next?
Yes. Okay. So then they devolved to Dead Island 2, which moved you to an actual island where you had to use boats to get around, and it was pretty neat, but still kind of lame. And then they had their glory moment, and Dying Light was made, and they somehow mashed parkour and zombie killing in a nice urban environment with a nice rural environment as well, and gave you a buggy where you can kill things, and it's just an overall good experience. It's like episode 4, like the pinnacle of Star Wars. Beautiful. Everything comes together. Go fuck
Episode
yourself with
5.
The Rise of the Empire.
Yeah. No, episode 5, Pinnacle of Star Wars. It is beautiful. It's a beautiful story. Everything comes together. I love you. I know.
Okay. Yep. Episode 4. We love each other, but episode 4 much better. Anyway, so Dying Light is, pinnacle. Like, you got guns, you got blades, you got these fucking crazy ass weapons that you can build and all this to slay zombies in this nice open world environment where, there's plenty of parkour. They even give you a grappling hook. The biggest thing that people were critics about was the main character was silent and he was kind of lame. I didn't mind him so much. He wasn't a great main character, but I mean, I've definitely played his worse. The story was interesting, but not like super interesting. The game really shines in the combat and all that stuff. But what's cool about Dying Light is it's 5 years old and it's still getting free content updates. Like, still. I know, crazy. Some little tiny fucking developer called Techland, who most people have never heard of, is still supporting their game 5 years after it released and giving players free content. It's among the top 100 most played games on Steam because of this. I mean, it's if you like zombie movies and zombie games, and you haven't played Dying Light yet, I don't know what's wrong with you, but you should probably go buy it and play it because it's well worth the money. I mean, it's well worth $60. You can get it for much cheaper than that these days, but it's well worth the $60 that you'd pay for it. You'll get all of your money's worth out of it easily. Yeah.
So there you go.
Oh,
Parkour zombie killer, is that right?
Yep. And
Very
it
cool.
also has full mod support, which if you play the run and gun mod by me, you basically get firearms from the beginning, and it's a zombie shooter with parkour.
Parkour zombie shooter. All right.
It does sound like a good time.
Yeah, it
First
is a
person?
good time. Huh? First person.
Nope,
And it
Doc's
also
out.
has. You know what? That's not true because Doc has played first person games. In fact, he plays Halo. He played Rainbow Six. Like this whole I can't play it because first person shooter. He's done it
Let's,
before. He can do it
He
again.
only
Let's
played
examine-
Halo with me because he loves me.
That is, you said it, so it's sarcastic and everyone's laughing at it now, but yes, I only played Halo Reach with Omega because I know Omega loves the Halo series, and he wanted to play Reach, and I wanted to play a Halo game with him, because I never actually got to play a Halo game with him, because I can't play console.
And
I
it's a
have
good
stupid
game,
thumbs.
isn't it?
It's a fine game. It was a fun game because I had good company playing it. And as for Rainbow Six, let's go and take a look at how many hours I have in that game. I bet it's below 30.
Oh yeah, but again, you play. It was all terrorist hunt, I believe, except for like one day they conned you into playing PvP, and that was I missed that night. Thank God.
I have 14 hours in Rainbow Six Siege.
Ooh. I'm with you,
was a
Doc.
lot of fun back in the day. Like, it's not a bad game for being a first-person shooter. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun playing it. It probably would have been more fun, but somebody, we won't name any names here, got a little too competitive and maybe took it a little too far.
Oh, you're talking about Freligator?
Yeah, I mean, he still plays that game like daily.
I'm sorry, his name isn't Freligator anymore. It's Galaxy Brain Heady.
You know what?
That is a joke.
I'm just gonna call him F.
Two people in here are gonna get that joke.
I mean, he's had so many different names. You know what? He's just F.
We're all Galaxy Brain Heady on this blessed day.
So, my least popular IMDb review right now, 2 out of 6 people found helpful. It was for 6 Underground, the most recent Ryan Reynolds action movie, where the first 35 minutes of it are a car chase. I said car chase before my microphone cut out.
Yeah.
My review is titled, Mr. Bay, Please Stop. And my review follows. 6 Underground is what happens when Michael Bay and Ryan Reynolds have a secret love child, then abort it, then keep the remains and use them to reenact the solitary confinement scene from The Great Escape in the bathroom of a Denny's.
Okay, I didn't think it was that bad.
2 out of 6 people found that helpful.
I didn't find the movie horrible. I thought it could have been done better. There were certain actors that I felt played their role very well.
Do you think
British
that
kid?
I just want to ask
guy.
quickly, do you think that the movie suffered from too much plot, or was it just too intellectual?
Neither. Please, it's a shoot 'em up movie. Like, there's no fucking intellect in it at all. Like, there's some cool parts in it, but you took the movie way too seriously, is what I got out of your review. Like, I went into it with oh, this is a Ryan Reynolds action movie. Okay, this is going to be a good laugh. It's like The Hitman's Bodyguard. You take that movie seriously, it's a shitty movie. You take it as a bro cop comedy, it's fucking hilarious.
So is it fair to say that putting aside the comparison of those two movies, which I do not think is fair, but putting that aside, would you say that it is fair that if you are a fan of logical storytelling, that Six Underground might not be the movie for you?
Oh, definitely not the movie for you if that's it. If you're all about logical storytelling, like, and if you're
people making logical decisions and all the rest of that.
It's exploding and hot actors and actresses doing some really fucked up shit, then yeah, the movie is just for you. That's exactly what you need. If you want to sit down and have an intellectual movie, I would recommend finding something else.
If you want to think at all during a movie, yeah, find something else.
Right. I mean, you want to sit back, smoke a joint, and laugh your ass off at stupid people doing stupid shit. Six Underground is probably right up your alley.
You are really going to
love
Star Wars
Plus, that
Episode 9.
forklift scene is just fucking amazing.
You're going to fucking love Rise of Skywalker.
Well, maybe if I wasn't forced to be sober.
I got champagne at work today. That was fun.
Why did you get champagne at work?
Because they apparently decided to rebrand, and it was a celebration. I just saw champagne on the table, and I'm like, I don't care why this is here. I'm going to take it.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I mean, are we talking good champagne, decent champagne, or, somewhere below that?
I have no idea. I haven't had champagne in over 10 years, so it tasted
you're going to get drunk on it. All right.
No.
Fair enough.
Actually, I drank like half a bottle of wine the other night, and I didn't feel a damn thing. I was disappointed.
That's a true South Dakotan right there.
Well, your first mistake was you're drinking wine. And the
nothing
second
wrong with that.
you only had a half a bottle.
Honestly,
Venus drinks by the box.
Yes. If I was drinking sake, this would be a whole different ballgame because that shit is potent, and it is amazing. Love sake.
Yeah, sake's good.
Is there other gaming news? We have like a long list of shit to talk about here.
We pretty much made it all the way through it except for the Doom Eternal, which I was gonna let Leadness talk about, or Leadness, Omega.
Yeah, the creative director of Doom Eternal said, I believe it was in a Facebook post, that the game will not have any microtransactions of any sort, and you will be able to unlock various skins with XP that you've earned, but there won't be any like paying for whatever. So I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think companies are finally realizing that microtransactions might not be the best thing in some games. I'm okay with that. I mean, some games they work in, but having them in every single fucking game, just not cool. And I appreciate a game not having them.
Yeah, and I don't mind games that do cosmetic microtransactions. I do mind when they push them on you too heavily. Like when every other menu page is covered in ads trying to get you to buy some shit or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, and it's got to be a set item for a set price. Like none of this fucking gambling bullshit, like loot box crap. Oh, here, pay $5 and you might get the character that you want. No, I want to pay $5. You just give me the fucking character I want. You're gonna make me pay $5 for something that's in the game that I can't get through the game. At least let me pay for what exactly I want and not have to gamble.
Yeah, that got made illegal, so I don't know how much more we're gonna see that.
It's about damn time.
Ubisoft will find a way.
I mean, they made it. I think they passed a law that made it illegal in Europe, so now. Like there's a European court case that said that the court decided that loot boxes counted as gambling, and it's illegal for gambling to be available for children. So it's basically going to force the video game companies to take the loot boxes out.
Because I know there was not that we're able to talk about politics, but we'll go into this little tiny thing. A Missouri senator or something put up some legislation a while back that basically did the same thing, but I don't remember whatever happened to it. I don't remember hearing anything other than
that was back when the division had introduced their loot box system. We read that article and we read a couple follow-up articles, and then nothing after that.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good thing that they were putting it in, like somebody was actually trying to do something, but I never heard of anything past that, which kind of sucks, because it would be kind of nice to know if it is illegal here in the States too, or if we're only going to get this betterment because of the European Union.
Well, thank God right now it's too costly to introduce two versions of every single game that a AAA studio releases, one with illegal loot box gambling in it and one without. So thanks to Europe, we're probably going to reap the benefits of that.
Yeah, that's how that's going to work. They're not going to do two versions of it.
No reason.
Yeah, the only other thing I got on the docket for the night is Torchlight Frontiers is now Torchlight 3. It's no longer free to play or an MMO, so it's going to be a true sequel to the Torchlight series, like the Torchlight fans had wanted. I've never played this game. I know the Eliteness played it. Apparently, Omega and DrNiggle to have as well. Yep. So maybe you guys want to take this one.
I played a fair bit of Torchlight 1, and I played a little bit of Torchlight 2 with Omega and the Eliteness and Super Fred back in the day.
Oh, I remember Fred.
Yeah, Fred's a good guy. Haven't seen Fred around in a while. If you're out there, buddy, you're doing well.
That was a long time ago.
But yeah, Torchlight, the first Torchlight was a single-player game, much like the original Diablo was, and Torchlight was created by the development team that originally did Diablo for Blizzard. They broke off when Blizzard was doing Diablo 2. They were in between Diablo 2 and Diablo 3, I believe, or it was during Diablo 2. This development team split off and they did a game, if I remember correctly. They wanted to make Diablo 3 the way they thought it should have been made. And so that's how Torchlight originally came out. And it was a single-player game. There were only 4 levels of dungeons, just like the original Diablo. And it was limited. There was a limited amount of gear, but they did have gear sets, which was a novel thing at the time. And they did have their version of Kadala, where you could go and you could trade shards for random items. And it was fun, and it was a very pretty game. Great atmosphere, and I had a good time with Torchlight 1. And then Torchlight 2 came out and introduced co-op play, so more than one person could be in a party. And at that time, Diablo 3 was in full swing, and we had some pretty badass AoE builds that would just wreck maps, to just clear the whole screen of enemies, and that's really what I fell in love with. I'm still in love with games that have large AoE attacks. They can just tear enemies apart in front of you. And Torchlight 2 did not have so much of that in the classes that I played. Probably my fault. I didn't play the right classes, so my interest kind of petered out. But I don't know, did you play beyond that? You played a little bit with me, Omega. Did you play beyond when I kind of stopped?
Yeah, a fair bit. I didn't get a ton of time in, but I did do a bit of single player, just playing around and exploring on my own. And it's similar to you. Like, it was an interesting comparison to D2, or D3. It was very similar in a lot of ways, but I ended up going over to D3 just because that's where everybody else was playing. But I did really enjoy Torchlight 2, and I'm excited to see as they start releasing more footage or whatnot about gameplay. The trailer that they released looks pretty good. And I really find it interesting that they're targeting a release this summer. So looks like they're really trying to preempt D3 or D4, and it almost makes you wonder if they made the decision to scrap what was it, Torchlight Frontiers, and turn it into Torchlight 3 because Blizzard announced Diablo 4, and they're like, hey, fuck it, let's jump on this, throw our name back out there.
Play this while you're waiting.
Because I think it's a great opportunity for them. It's no secret that, we're perfect examples of large parts of the community who just are done playing Diablo 3. Right. And, we'll play Diablo 4 when it comes out, but that's still 3-4 years away. If these guys can release, a game that, a lot of people, will play both games. Like I've never heard many people like shitting on Torchlight 2 or anything like that. It's just D3. It was obviously the bigger, the heavyweight in the room, so to speak. But I don't know. It could be a good business decision by them for sure. I'll definitely keep an eye on it.
Yeah, I'll also, if it gets a release this summer, then yeah, I'll also check it out.
I mean, it would be kind of fun to go back to that type of gameplay without having to wait another, 4 years for D4, or without jumping into another season of D3 and doing the same thing that we've already done 20 times.
You mean 20 million times?
At least.
Well, within each season, we do the same thing a million times, and we've done that about 20 times.
We've done 20 seasons. We actually have. We've gotten to the point where they started to recycle rewards, so there's nothing new for us to get by doing seasons.
Yeah, there's no new content. There's nothing churning out anymore. It's just the game is just it's just spinning its wheels at this point.
Wow. I like made it through the base Diablo 3. I didn't even go through the story of the expansion, so like my ability to contribute to a D3 conversation is very limited, though I did play it. So
I mean, the story's fun and all, but the real experience is the other 1,000 hours that you spend grinding rifts and bounties and just doing nothing but trying to get better and better gear, and then spending half an hour rolling stats on a gear to get that extra 1 point of crit chance or crit damage, and then fucking running out of gemstones because you just rolled your bracers 400 times. And then you need to go farm gems now. So then you go out and do that for a while. And yeah, that's... the story is a lot of fun. But yeah...
It's called the Vision Tech.
The real Diablo 3 game, as Omega says, is grinding out like gear and getting yourself a Paragon 3000 Demon Hunter with 3.1 million sheet damage and just wiping out T110 grifts. Yeah, that's the real Diablo.
But even Division, Division was the third-person shooter version of Diablo 3. That was they literally lifted
all the mechanics.
Almost every mechanic, literally every mechanic from that game, and turned it in. Instead of a god view, they made it a third person and guns instead of fantasy setting.
And the thing that drove me nuts about it was that they didn't do it all at once. They took certain elements per patch and they fudged the rest of it, and then the next patch they took a few more elements, and then by the time they got to 1.8, it was, as Omega says, it was Diablo 3 with guns and third person.
I mean, literally, they had rifts, they had gear rolling, they had each different element of character building and storytelling that you found in Diablo 3 was basically what the Division was. Or is.
They finally decided to, now the Division 2 has been out for almost a year, and guess what? They're finally taking the gear back to what it was in the Division 1. Less gear, less RNG, more meaningful loot. Does this sound familiar at all? 1.8?
Yeah, it sounds like they didn't learn their lesson the first time, and they're slowly rebuilding Diablo 3 again.
Yeah, that's exactly with Gear 2.0 that's coming out. I think that's coming out in either February or March. We are going back to New York City in the next DLC that's free for everybody to play. But we're
because
only
they
going
just
to
took
Coney
the map.
Island.
They took the. Oh, you're only going to Coney Island. That's it.
Yep, that's it. As
Fucking
far as I
ripoff.
understand,
They could have taken the entire map from D1 and just
I
gotten
know.
rid of the snow effect and been like, hey, it's summertime. Look, there's still trash on the ground, but there's no snow on it. It's totally different.
Yeah, I actually reinstalled the original Division and been playing that some because I was reading a Reddit comment about how the Division 1 nailed atmosphere, and it really did. One of my favorite things of the Division was the atmosphere in the game. Like, it was a fucking beautiful game. It ran amazing. Like, everywhere you looked, like, it was just picturesque and amazing. But it had that gritty, dark feeling that you were alone as well. I mean, even when there was 4 of you guys running around in the city, it just you felt alone.
Yeah, it was
Like,
spoopy.
but it was good. It was great. It that really had that atmosphere. Now the Division 2, I like the game. I like what they've done with it, and whatnot, but it doesn't have the same atmosphere. And which is fine because you're talking they're trying to rebuild it in the Division 2, and it just I don't maybe it's the map, and maybe I just like New York City better, or maybe it's the snow. I'm not quite sure, but it just Washington DC doesn't feel as good as New York City did. Like, the fighting is better, the combat's better, the gunplay is better in the Division 2. Like, they made a lot of improvements over the Division 1, but the one thing they did not improve on was the map. I feel like the Division 1 has the better map, the better atmosphere, the better setting. I even like the story better in the first one than I did the second one.
I've got all of 15 minutes in Division 2, so I don't really have a lot to add in terms of a comparison, but
I played closed in the open beta. That's it.
I would be interested in seeing a return to New York, though, because I agree that was a pretty awesome environment, especially living in New York City. For me, it was really cool to see they did a pretty faithful job of recreating the city. I mean, I grew up in suburban Maryland, not far from DC, but I didn't spend a ton of time in the city, so the game doesn't have that sort of magic for me. Whereas, the Division really made it feel like I was walking through a place that I knew, and that was something special about that game.
Now, crazy, since we're kind of way off topic here, we'll go with it anyway. So the other game that I really enjoyed that also took place in New York was Crisis 2. Did you ever play that game?
I did not.
No, but I heard the B.O.B. or B.Y.O.B. or some crap rap song that came out with the trailer that was really super good, and then years later I found out that the guy who sang that was a flat earther, and it made me laugh.
But no, I was just curious on what your thoughts were on New York in Crisis 2 was, because I thought they did a really good job in Crisis 2 with New York, but I mean nowhere near the job that Ubisoft did with the Division in New York. Like, again, but two totally different settings, I guess you could say. But like in Crisis you get to see FDR, the FDR freeway and stuff like that, but I don't really remember any other major landmarks in the game where, I mean, New York Division is New York. Like, there are noticeable places there. I mean, you could probably walk around there in the game and point us to places that are actual stores and shops and stuff. And
I used to do that with Doc.
Yep.
yeah,
I was like, all right, this building here is actually supposed to be this, and because they don't have the individual store names right and stuff, but
No, yeah, they can't. They also condensed the map down a little bit. You excuse me, you pointed out that some of the streets were right next to each other in the game actually had a couple streets in between them in real life.
I don't remember specifically where that was, but yeah,
It makes
it,
sense. The map
the-
probably would have been 2 or 3 times as big if they did a street by street absolute 1-to-1 of New York or the island.
yeah, but the map was also very truncated. I mean, it wasn't the full
That's true.
extent of Manhattan,
Which was really strange, actually, because they built it out. If you remember, there was a time when we could escape the boundary of the map, and you could go exploring almost... I want to say the whole map was almost double the size that we could actually explore.
They could easily open that game up and gave us another 30 or 40 blocks.
You actually go up. We were able to walk up as far as Grand Central, or what the fuck was it actually?
The Trump
Central
Tower,
Park.
right?
It was Central Park, and you could go almost all the way down Central Park, and then you started losing all the details. Like, they stopped putting trash cans or splats on the ground for trash or garbage or stuff like that, and became barren. But they still built it out. They built way more of that island than we ever used.
Yeah, it was sad because, I mean, that was... I mean, I
Still
got like
don't
1,000
understand
hours
why.
into it. Right, they could have done so much more with that. I mean, it's one of those great things, mysteries, I guess you could say. Like, they had this wonderful map, and they just kind of squandered it.
Yeah, there you go.
I still think to this day they should make all the fucking Season 1 DLC for that game free for everybody at this point. I don't even care.
Yeah, all the DLC from Division
Just
or
make
Division
it fucking
1.
free for everybody.
Yeah.
And because a lot of those things would help, because the 2 PvP things that came out, Survival and Last Stand, would be the greatest benefits to it. Underground was, and it was great, but everybody should be able to play Underground, because it was, at the time when it came out, it was probably the best thing that happened to the game at that point. And it's still one of my favorite places to go in there, minus the docks now, which is like the PvE Dark Zone. Which I don't know why it wasn't in the game from the fucking get-go.
Because Ubisoft wanted you to play PvP. We've been over this a billion times, Gobi.
Yes,
you're gonna play PvP, and you're gonna like it.
No, well, not in that game. The second one, I did enjoy the PvP because it was standardized, and an AR did the same damage as any other AR. So there was no... When you went into PvP, you didn't feel fucking like, oh shit, I'm a casual player, or I haven't played in 6 fucking months, and I just booted up the game, and I'm gonna get raped by every fucking man, woman, and child playing this game because they have better gear than me. No, you could go in and like stand toe to toe with these guys and actually win some firefights because they standardized the gear score, which I understand they've gotten a lot of flack about because the DZs, they also standardized the DZs, and the problem is they made the DZs too small. Like, the standardization was good for the DZ, but the DZs are so fucking small now with less people in them that it wasn't the same experience as the DZ in the first one. And we all know that I did enjoy the DZ right up until patch 1.1. The DZ was fucking amazing. It was iconic. It was great. It was everything I had hoped for right up until 1.1.
And then it got terrible, and then it stayed terrible.
Yeah. And I mean, it's probably okay now because there's, I mean, population of the game is probably
I was
gone
about
down.
to ask you how much you want to fucking bet we reinstall Division 1, we go into the Dark Zone, and there are still people using those fucking sticky flash crit builds. I bet there are still people that just, they're like, all right, all the other PvP players have gone. Now I'm king of the castle, or, I'm king of the hill. I'm going to go around and waste anybody that I find.
I'm sure they're out there. I will say they gave those shields out towards the end of the division, and one of the shields was you had to go into the Dark Zone, and you had to complete so many fucking bullshit assignments inside the Dark Zone.
Yeah,
And
I never did that.
hate the fucking Dark Zone. I got that shields because I happened to go toward right before Division 2 came out. I went into the Dark Zone, but I went up into Dark Zone 7 and 8, and there was like nobody up there. It was literally me by myself. I wouldn't pick up any gear. I would just go kill the fucking world bosses and go, kill the landmarks, whatever. And, never picked up any loot, anything like that. And ran in and out. I think I ran into one guy and he tried to fuck with me. I popped my 9K shield and walked back to the fucking turrets and let him get ate alive by the fucking turrets and walked out of the DZ. Like, that was that. But I mean, I will say you're still going to want a PvP build if you go into the DZ now. I mean, I do think there's way less people in there, so there's probably less gankers than there was back when we were playing it.
Oh yeah, cutting loot lines. I forgot about that for a minute.
Yeah, that was actually I had to break my. I refused to go into the DZ forever when they added in cutting the fucking rope. Like, that is the biggest troll fucking mechanic ever introduced into a fucking game, and the only reason it was put in was for fucking troll assholes. And
well, I decided to be a troll. Well, okay, I went into the DZ a couple times. I don't know why. I was playing with Alpa or Fluffy or someone like that. Fluffy, we miss you. So I decided to troll the trolls, and I only ever picked up... I didn't pick up any purple gear that dropped, I didn't pick up any gold gear that dropped, I didn't pick up any of that nonsense. If a green dropped, I picked that up. You kill me, you get a whole bunch of green items. Merry fucking Christmas, you douchebag.
Yeah, I think it was Alba, because dude was a fucking beast in the DZ. He had, last time I checked, it was like 400 fucking rogue kills or some shit like that. And yeah, just not my thing.
Nope. So, yeah. Is that, what's our round table?
Toss a coin to your Witcher.
Oh, yeah. The Witcher Netflix series soundtrack dropped this week. Go pick it up. It's good shit.
Absolutely.
50-something songs. It's like 50-something songs and 3.5 hours long.
It's great.
Damn.
Like, if you want to rewatch
it's
it
good
for
stuff.
the 5th time.
Yeah, that song, Toss a Coin to Your Witcher, whatever. My daughter had heard it, and that was the reason why she wanted to watch the Netflix series. As a parent, if your teenager wants to watch it, I'd fully and wholeheartedly say go for it. You're just gonna make them leave the room way more often than you think you're going to do that.
Unless you don't mind your kids seeing boobies.
Yeah, or just
like every episode. Like,
Just
I didn't
being like,
even
hey,
realize it.
These are boobies. These are things that women have.
Yeah,
To
maybe you
good
should
luck.
teach your kids to normalize them instead of fetishizing the female figure.
Breasts are
They're
not
females,
sex organs.
all right? What the fuck
Yeah,
are you
that's
talking
fine.
about?
So fine, well, you let your girls see the boobies.
I had no problem with them seeing the boobies. It made my 14-year-old daughter uncomfortable seeing boobies, so I just
No,
told
she
her
was
anytime-
uncomfortable seeing boobies around you.
Yeah, with her dad.
Hey,
Yes, that's all that was. She was not. She doesn't give a shit about seeing boobies. She felt awkward seeing boobies with you sitting right there.
Same reason that I
Yeah.
don't watch movies with gratuitous nudity around my parents. Or TV shows. I do not watch Game of Thrones with my parents. Ever.
okay,
I saw
so,
Titanic in
hold
the
up.
theaters
Have
with
you
my
guys
grandmother.
ever walked into a strip club with one of your parents?
Fuck no. What are you, crazy?
Yeah, fuck no. Oh my god.
Really?
No.
I remember
Oh,
I was
okay.
like 13, 14 years old. I think my dad tried to give me the sex talk. I religiously avoided that topic. I was just like, hey, look out on the driveway. There's a pigeon. It's like, no, I don't need to do that around my parents, ever. On my own, though, yeah, slow motion boobies all day long.
So 2008, my dad came to me and said, "Oh, let's go for a weekend motorcycle ride. Where do you want to go?" I've always wanted to go to Hurley, Wisconsin. It's this little podunk town in the middle of fucking nowhere, Wisconsin. It's actually right on the border of Wisconsin and Michigan. and you can go into the UP on Highway 2 and go up to Lake Superior and stuff. It's a beautiful ride on a motorcycle. It's a beautiful ride in a car. If you ever get a chance to go up there, check out the UP. It's an amazing place. So we go up, we ride bikes on all the way up to Hurley, and we get there, and we happen to get there right in time for the hospitality parade, which is their like big thing of the year or whatever. And they just got a new fire truck, so they were fully extending the ladder and all that fun stuff. Things they do in a small town when they get something shiny and new.
You have to fully extend the ladder so you can fit as many topless women on it as possible.
So we get all done, and we never even thought of any reason like why would they call it the hospitality parade. And so we put the bikes away for the night, and we walk downtown Hurley, and we go to a couple of bars, and they're pretty dead, and we're talking to them and stuff. And so the history was the miners lived over on the Michigan side, and the mistresses and like the prostitutes and stuff lived on the Wisconsin side, and they would cross into Wisconsin to get their hospitality taken care of. And so, that was neat, good education. So we thought we'd go to the bars over in Michigan. What we didn't realize is that sometime between when this parade took place and when we got there, they decided to switch. All the bars were in Hurley and all the strip clubs were in Ironton, which is the neighboring city in Michigan. It's actually one city, but they're divided by the state line. So the Wisconsin side is called Hurley, the Michigan side is called Ironton. In Ironton, all of the bars are strip clubs. So we walk into this bar, and I'm thinking it's just a bar, and I walk into a strip club with my father. Just saying, there's nothing wrong with walking into a strip club with your dad or your mother.
There absolutely isn't. It's just a comfort factor.
To be perfectly fair, you did it by accident.
I mean, it would have been a different story if we were getting like lap dances right next to one another and stuff. But I mean, we sat on the tip bar, and we put tips up and stuff. It wasn't a big deal. It might have gotten to the uncomfortable phase. I agree. If we had decided to do private dances like together or something, that might have been a little weird. With that word, weird. But it wasn't bad. I mean, it was just like sitting in a bar with. I mean, I guess I'm the odd one here because I go to biker parties with my dad. So, I mean, it's a little different. I mean, they flash fucking boobs all the time. Random women, they're everywhere, walk around naked. It's just something you get used to as, going to biker parties and stuff. And I grew up going to biker parties with my dad. So it wasn't like, I don't know. To me, it's not a big deal to see naked women with my dad standing right next to me. Where you guys
have been defending this for like 10 minutes. This is hilarious.
I'm just saying, I'm way more. All I'm getting is I'm way more comfortable with my sexuality than any of you guys are. And
yeah, that's been long established falsehood right there. Like, if
really
anybody who has ever listened to any of these podcasts know how not true that is.
That's absolutely true. If you were comfortable with your sexuality, Gobi, then you would have sex with a dude.
No. No.
Yeah, why? Do you think it's going to make you gay?
I'm straight guy. I'm straight.
Yeah,
like
you know that you're totally straight. There's no issue with it. So if you're that satisfied or that comfortable with your sexuality, you're that certain.
I don't need to have sex with a guy. I can see a guy naked.
But you should be able
I can watch two gay guys fucking right next to me. I don't have a problem with that. That's them. Just because I'm comfortable with me being a straight male and you guys being whatever you want to be, and I'm completely okay with that.
If your gay friend comes to you and says that in order to save his marriage, he needs you to put your thumb up his ass while he's climaxing into his partner, would you do it?
I don't know. First of all, how that would ever save anybody's marriage. Ever. That might be a good way to get a divorce.
This, by the way, folks, is what we do in the post-show.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry. There's no reason my thumb needs to go up his bum.
I would do it. If Omega needed me to put my thumb up his asshole in order to save his relationship or marriage, I would totally do it.
I mean, hell, you do it if I ask nicely.
That's true. I'll do it if you buy me enough tequila.
And now we know his price.
Oh, yeah. He doesn't have a price.
Yes,
You
he's
just gotta get him drunk.
priceless.
I thank you, Masami. I am priceless.
You're welcome.
So my
you're
most
a MasterCard commercial now.
Yeah, right. My most popular review on IMDb right now, 17 out of 22 people found this helpful, was for Cats. The review is titled Rule 38. If you know what that is, congratulations, you're an internet loser. The review is as follows: to all current and future high school band/theater students, enjoy your mandatory viewing of this for years to come. Go watch Cats, folks.
I don't
Watch
want to see
Cats.
it.
It's great. It's great. It's
No.
it's a fun time. If you like Star Wars Episode 9, you're gonna fucking love Cats.
I'm gonna guess not. I'm saying. I just what? Uh, maybe like a Broadway production of Cats, but not the movie Cats. Like I just don't know.
You don't want to see anthropomorphic cats dancing around, being all sexy and whatnot, shaking their little furry bums. You don't want to see James Corden being a cat. He gives a perfect performance.
I bet I just don't. Nope. I just couldn't take. Nope. Sorry.
I'm sure it
Can't do it.
scratches a certain itch.
Thank you.
Oh, sure. If you're a furry.
We don't discriminate here, Gobi. There's no judgment.
Are you sure about that? Can
Pretty
we
sure.
quote that?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
then-
no, this is not the first time I've said it on a podcast. Come on, I do not discriminate ever on a podcast. Whatever gets you off, man. Whatever floats your boat.
Right, unless you're judging me for my views. Oh, that's right. That happens every podcast.
You're the one who said that you were the most confident in your sexuality of any of us here, and I'm just saying you're
said
not
I was
willing to
most
put your thumb up someone's
comfortable,
butt.
Not confident.
Most comfortable with your sexuality, fine. You're the most comfortable, but you won't put your thumb up your gay friend's butt in order to save his marriage. What kind of a friend are you, man?
I'm straight. Why would I stick my finger up and get?
Because you care
Again,
about your
why?
friend. And because
I
you
care
know it
about
doesn't
my
make you
friend.
gay. You know you're straight.
You're right. I know all of those things. Again, the question is why.
That's the beauty of a hypothetical situation. It doesn't have to have a Y attached to it. That can be whatever I want.
But it does. It really does. How is somebody's thumb up somebody else's bum gonna save anything? I mean, I've seen people get divorced for way less. Just saying. I mean, we haven't even made it to the favorite books yet. This one's gonna be fun. Nico, since you're no judgmental, your favorite book adapted in visual media.
Sorry, I just had to drop that in the saloon. That's a great quote. In fact, we're going to pin that. There you go. All GS can see it now. What was the question? Were you talking about a minivan?
Your favorite book adapted into a visual media.
Oh, Dune. Actually, you know what? It's gonna be a tie between Dune and Harry Potter.
Oof. Oof.
Okay, Masami.
That's it. Yeah, next.
Wow. I didn't I enjoyed Harry Potter, but I had massive issues with the way they did some of the movies and the plot, so I cannot agree with that.
Oh my God, his eyes are a different color.
What?
Harry Potter has a different color eyes in the book than he does in the movies.
Yes.
Oh
yes,
God,
he
it's
does.
literally unwatchable now.
You couldn't give that little some fucking colored contacts.
CGI it in.
Yeah. Oh wow, yeah.
They can take off Ralph Fiennes' nose, but they can't change Daniel Radcliffe's eye color.
Right?
Unless Ray Fine actually had his nose surgically removed for that role and then had it reattached when he was done. He is that dedicated an actor.
Hey, method acting, you don't fuck around.
It's true.
Nope.
Okay, so that's 2 for Harry Potter, I guess.
Omega?
Yeah, I don't really know. That's kind of hard to say. I mean, probably Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, they did a good job of that one.
Yeah, a lot of my favorite books haven't been made into TV, or in the case of Game of Thrones, I haven't watched the show. So, yeah, of the things that I have read that I do enjoy, probably it would be Game of Thrones. Or, sorry, Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, my brain is not working.
Okay, Gobi, which of the Percy Jackson movies did you like the most?
Oh, God.
The Bourne series.
No.
Bourne series.
That's legit. Yeah, Jason Bourne.
Yep.
That's legit.
I do enjoy a good Matt Damon every now and then. He's a handsome man.
Now, for those of you that I'm guessing most of you have not actually read the books, the movies don't follow the books at all. Like, they take the name, and that's about it. He learns his real name at the beginning of the very first book, and the main bad guy in all 3 books is called somebody called the Jackal.
It's a jackal. A jackal.
Never shows up
Jackal?
Jackal.
in
Jackal.
any of the movies, which is neat. But I mean, the movies were good, and the books were good too.
If it wasn't right the first 10 times you said it, why the hell would it be right the next 10?
I was actually, I wish they'd made his other books, the Martise collection, into movies, as I think those would have been interesting movies to make as well.
All right. Well, this was
Well,
fairly...
that about does it here, folks. We'll be...
The New York Rednecks coming out.
We're fixing to do some podcasting next week, so we'll see y'all then.
Yeah, you're saying y'all wrong.
Yeah, about time to mosey on out.
All right, we'll catch
Y'all
y'all later.
Yes. Y'all have a good time now.
That's a real South Dakotan right there.
You bet your buttons it is.
Y'all come back now, you heard?
Every once in a while I can peg West River folk.
Because Masami is comfortable. Masami is the most comfortable with her sexuality.
Oh,
Oh, I would if someone was interested.
There we go. All right. Yep. So we're out, right? Gobi, take us out. Let's go. We're like 27 minutes over.
Oh God, we're still recording?